Hey there, Survivors Black here from CasaBLACK Gaming, and today I wanted to share my train loop in Scorched Earth, which is the latest re-release map from Wildcard Studios, the gaming devs who I had almost written off as being able to release something decent with Ark that would make me come back. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Ragnarok and look forward to its release soon, but I had seriously doubted if I would play it much or any of the other re-releases, but there's just something about the Bob's Tall Tales that has added a little bit of excitement for my builder brain, and so here I am back in Scorched Earth. Anyway, enough with the commentary on the state of Ark, and I also will not be saying whether I think the price is fair or if it's worth it or not, because that's pretty subjective. But for me, in this video, I will only be commenting on the train system and what I think about it, and how easy or not it is to build. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the info. So for those who are on certain server settings, mainly those with other player tribes, the train might not be something that you find useful. There can be issues with blocking the ability to block for other tribes and or blocking other spawns on the map. Also, not every tribe has access to the train. For our particular server, it's just family members, and so we're all in the same tribe and it works pretty good for us. Now, I do hope there can be a mod or server setting that could possibly allow some leeway for the trains, and I think there also needs to be some further improvements for trains in the future, but I will discuss those in a section near the end. For now, just know that I understand those who are frustrated with the train's deficiencies in regards to multi-tribal servers, and I think it's a fair argument to not like them or think the system is worth buying the pack for. So for our first train, we decided to connect our two bases. Now my daughter built at the northern lush part of the river, and we built down at the bottom southern part of the river, and this was simply not by design or plan, it's just where we happened to start at the different times that very first day we started the server due to our varying work schedules. Anyway, with the gap between our bases being so spread out, but with a nice looping river also between us, it just seemed like the natural thing to do to create a train that follows the river, so we started creating tracks. And if any of you have created a train in this new pack, you know the struggle with the building resources cost for these tracks. Now, I won't say it's unfair, but it's definitely something you need to be organized to do, especially with such a large project like we have planned. So we made like maybe 45 tracks between us and my daughter's gathering. Now 45 tracks did very little to cover the gap, and it was at this time we knew this was going to take days if not a week or more for us to complete, due to of course our work and play schedules, but we chugged along. Now our rates are nothing crazy, maybe like 4x with a few of the resources bumped up individually to around 8x. Now if you're good with grinding, then the stone, wood, chitin, and metal is not too bad to gather. I would normally make around 75 to 100 tracks and an equal number of pillars, and then go out with an argent to place them. I kept the tracks mostly around 3 to 5 pillars high to keep most dinos off the track and to allow easy access under the train. Now it was mostly easygoing, setting up the tracks running north from our base. Even though it was a large stretch at times, it still went pretty fast and smooth. Now a little tip is when you're needing to elevate or go down, it's going to cost you 2 tracks, one to change direction and another to level it off. Otherwise it just continues in that direction until you do level it off. Another tip is you cannot put a turn on a track going up or down, so it must come off of a straight track. Now when you know you're coming up to a change either in direction or elevation, you should scout ahead a bit first to see if you're going to need to elevate or go down some to match any sudden cliff sides or other possible obstructions that could be coming your way. I also want to suggest planning ahead a little in terms of where to split your tracks off. Know how the curves work and plan ahead to make your turns veer off enough to cover any corners that you might need to go around. Another thing to consider is to make sure your tracks do not have any of the ground poking up through the track, as that can cause the train to stop, even if it's just a little bit, as I found out near my base station. Trees and boulders can be cleared, but as of this video you need to place a foundation down to block the spawn from coming back if they pose a collision risk. I tried using pillars to block the spawns, but those did not work. Now another issue I had was with the connector rail not wanting to connect 2 sets of track, where a standard rail would not work or fit. Now this was kind of hit or miss. On some, I was able to get the connector rail to snap, even in some almost uncomfortable harsh turns. And then with some, where it should have worked and was almost straight, they just simply wouldn't snap. I think this individual piece needs some work, and I have made mention of it in the forums as well as with some of the modders. Now after we had connected the entire loop from my daughter's base with ours, and after testing everything out and putting down foundations where trees and boulders were in the way, we set about trying to make some closer loops so a train would not have to go all the way around the entire river just to get back to its destination. Now here is when I began having problems with some of those connector rails, but I was able to get one down about the halfway mark, and I plan on adding more later. I also began adding little stations around certain points that I thought would be good exit or entrance points to get on and off the train for things like resources or water sources, etc. Because our train is elevated in some areas, it was even more important to make places to get on and off, especially if you're trying to carry home tames or resources. One other thing we made on this initial train setup was a place to pull off the main line and park our train so that other trains could use the track when someone wasn't online. That way we could have our own train engine and my daughter could have hers, and so long as they are parked off the track, anyone can go about. Alright, so given what we have so far with this new train system, is there room for it to grow, whether that be through official releases or through modding? Now, I 100% think that answer is yes. Now, we've already started seeing train mods make their way with faster trains, indestructible trains, and even better trains. My hope is to see someone come out with a way to make trains automated to be set up to stop at specific stops, pause for a set time, and then move on to the next stop, giving players a working transit system. I'd also like to see something different for the extinction map with possible L trains or hanging trains, or some steampunk variants. And also more train car options, and possibly even loading or unloading options to move cargo about the map. There are plenty of options out there, and Ark modders could look no further than the Create mod on Minecraft for some inspiration. Official support should also continue, as there are still some issues as I mentioned earlier, and I think some fine tuning is needed. But I also know how bad the devs at Wildcard can be at revisiting troubled systems, so don't hold your breath. Now, as for the future of our train system, we plan on adding some offshoots from the main river into other parts of the map, such as going through parts of the desert and maybe even some obelisk paths, and who knows, perhaps some that go up to the harder to reach heights of the map where collecting resources can be hard unless you're on a winged mount. In fact, I think you could create a train system where flying tames would not even be necessary on this map. Anyway, that's it for this video showcasing our train and some of the thoughts we've had about the new train system and a couple of tips here. Now hopefully you found this useful, and let us know down in the comments how you've been using the train system or how you would like to see them improved. Anyway, thanks for watching and stay positive out there as you beat that heat.